Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. All of it. The unity in that. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our sacred family of light. Beautiful, glorious Heather and Jason. Welcome to the second episode of Sacred Divine Union. Raw and real. Raw and real. Michael and I are so honored, so excited that on this beautiful eve of Equinox, we get to be with each other. It couldn't have been more divine.
Right? We
Okay.
totally forgot about that. We totally
Didn't even
forgot.
know that.
Our lives have been
That makes
so busy.
sense.
It makes perfect sense. And,
Wow.
we go into the 22 tomorrow, and Michael and I were guided, as you know, for this month of particularly September, this 9 completion energy. In this first decade of this whole new era, and of course with the year of 2020 and this 2020 energy, which is all about the union, the inner union, the outer union. But we were called to, in the month of September, to bring this wisdom with others who are in this sacred divine union bonds, and to really discuss a few things, because so many are being called to come into their union. And there's a lot that from the wisdom has to be shared, especially what we have experienced, what you have experienced, what others have experienced, to really not so much of a roadmap, but the truth of it. Really the truth, the authentic divine truth of it, and what doors we're closing with many of the doors that we all have been closing, to welcome even the greater part of our union forward. So we welcome you, and we're so grateful to have you.
We're very, very, very grateful. We honor you, we celebrate you, and we just bow to all that you're doing as a divine sacred union, what you create in the powers of love, yes, what you inspire so many through your music, through your voice, through just your frequency and vibration. When I see either of you alone or together, there's just this,
we always get giddy.
There's this fresh air of like, wow, there's others. And it couldn't be more serendipitous, synchronistical, that as I was so blessed during that time in Shasta, we were just walking along a farmer's market in 8/8. And
3 years ago, August.
And now we're on the eve of the equinox, how it's just the flow of love, how it all comes together at its times of just pure brilliance. So thank you for being here and sharing your love with us today.
Auspicious. And we travel to China often, and there's a word for auspicious in Mandarin, or in the Buddhist path.
Buddhist, yeah.
The Tibetan Buddhist path, and it's Tashitale, which just means very auspicious encounters here. And that's really what you just shared. I wanted to share that piece because we were in a magical portal of Lionsgate in Shasta for our first time. Yeah. They call there in Shasta, if you've ever been to Shasta, it's called the Shasta Swirl. There's something that happens when you're in Shasta, multi-dimensional things and people and encounters and like synchronistic things. And we were in the little the farmer's market there. And I pointed to Heather, I'm like, oh, look, they have HoniB honey. And it's like this little brand called HoniB. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we hear Jason, Heather, like, what?
It's HoniB.
HoniB.
I materialized really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, you guys. And you know what? You were such a gateway for us in Shasta, because we ended up hosting our first couples retreat at David Knowles' place.
Fantastic. Yes, yeah. I mean, he's such a sacred brother of my heart when I met, and then Michael, that was the first time Michael got to meet him. It's just so divine.
Magical.
Perfect.
Very
but
magical.
you know how they say what goes in Vegas stays in Vegas? But no, not in Shasta. What goes on in Shasta expands out of
Yes.
I just made that up.
Well, your graciousness it precludes you both, and just your open hearts when we saw you there in Shasta. And then to top it off, you gifted us something that sits on our altar and by our bedside, a very sacred obsidian from the mountains of Shasta.
Yeah,
that
quite
carries
a power piece for sure. I'm sure it's absorbed a lot of things.
It does, and there's right behind our here fiber on down below is one of the pieces as well, because it was from Lady Shasta, especially from the land, from the medicine. That glass mountain, we asked for permission to come help others, to help ground this energy, to really help transmute the energy in what we're working with as a union. Our sacred flame goes through so many, constantly going through more initiation phases. It's like, holy heavens, how many layers of initiation this sacred flame has to go through, I mean, like, holy heavens. I mean, literally, we are bringing the heavens because of the amount of initiation. Our flame is like, let's take it into another transmutation again.
Right.
You guys, just to hear you say that way, it's a relief. It makes us probably take a deep breath. And, we've spoken this to Todd and Morgan as well, just sometimes knowing that we're each doing this and calling each other just to mind in the middle of different passageways is such a gift, really, because it's hard to explain to anyone, and sometimes it feels so lonely. It feels just so like you're so out beyond your edges. Just to know that there are others is really a gift.
I hear Scotty in my head, Captain, she's breaking up. She can't handle it anymore. Like that's where we're at. These unions, we're holding this frequency, this light. We're like, oh God, we're metamorphosizing in these chrysalis bodies of going. We're breaking apart old structures and old ways of being and relating, and like it's not for the faint of heart. And so we just bow to you two in the portal that you're following your guidance to have. Years ago we had 1111 raw and real with the powers of love, and the raw and real is the juice, and to take off our spiritual robes and our things and go, look, this is what's really going on. This is really, we're really here to do our best. We failed, and I wouldn't say fail. We've had marriages dissolve in our past, and we really closed the door behind us and said, look, we're going to work it out, get in the padded room, and let's find out how to really be love. And how do we allow love to permeate? And there are days, there are highs and bliss, and my God, this is amazing. And then there's the pit of hell that you're like,
he keeps getting dizzy.
And what I love what you said about that, Jason, is I appreciate what I find the trials and tribulations of what is being brought forward, because Honey reminds me many times, there are beautiful relationships, and then there's divine unions, and not to create separation or create any type of language of hierarchy or difference, but we know that when we've incarnated into these amazing divine unions and these sacred marriages, that we've also signed up for these sacred tests and initiations that some choose just maybe not to experience.
I don't remember signing that.
But we said, actually, I'll sign that. You know what? Why don't I just check all the above? Because if we've come here for this beautiful ascension flame in our divine union, then we realize that we're coming here not just to put our feet in the hammock, sway back, and play the songs, which are beautiful, and I love that, but we've also signed up for some amazing, great lessons to experience, to share, and to what I feel so honored is to navigate in our communication of expression, because that's what I feel is the lovely art of seeing how we can dissolve of what we may seem as bad or challenging as tough. Is like, what a great initiation we've just explored. This is a beautiful one. How can we look at this as a gift and blessing that has brought our love even stronger and unite us to even a deeper level, so that there's no hierarchy or superficiality or inferior superior of what we define, but what we know in our hearts that we came here to do. And it's one heck of a ride, guys.
Well said. So beautifully said. the piece of communication is, that's what's popping up for us so much lately, is really learning how do we communicate when we're having so much emotion come up, and do it in a way that doesn't create more separation and more pain and more damage, you know, the imprinting, and learn how to really navigate through those challenging emotions and not attack each other, not blame each other for what we're feeling, which is, you know, this morning it was interesting because we were kind of going through it from last night to this morning, and as things were dissipating, and I was seeing, I know we're in a test, I can feel it, but I can't get out of it, and I can't just shift it right now. Sometimes it's like, it just takes its own time for it to dissolve and actually, you know, alchemically, resolve itself.
Alchemized. Right. And, you know, this is a really good segment to move into some of this area, because I feel that the purpose of this interview, this coming together, this communication is to help shine light that, as Michael touched upon, like the whole consciousness of relationship on a planetary level is shifting anyway. Then we have this ancient call of souls that are reuniting for specific purpose as on a planetary level to deliver their combined soul mission as one. And it is like, Jason, you said, we all know it ain't for no faint heart. I mean, we recognize we have gone through so many incarnations together to be able to fulfill this one. And this one, many of the tests that were not completely able to be fulfilled in other incarnations, they brought on this because our union, the sacred combined union for us is everything. It is that union that is able to handle it. Not me by myself, not Michael by himself, but the union is completely able to, it's like, okay, now we can dissolve it. Now we can transmute. Now it can descend. So for us, number one priority to us is making sure this flame is really, really taken care of. And this flame, we recognize it's the Creator's flame. We are the keeper of this particular flame that has a signature. So my first question for you would be, you as a union, what would you say your union, because each union has its own signature, the signature that has its purpose here. What would you say your signature's union is on a planetary level?
Wow, that's a really
our unique
big question.
Don't start off light. Go for the deep end.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like,
take a deep breath.
For us, Michael and I, our signature, the union signature is completely communication. That's the signature that we're bringing in, the art of communication. That comes with it. So everything we face is around the signature of the divine communication. That's our signature to anchor it here. So in a very short version. So what would your signature?
Wow. Well, I'll take a stab at it. And then I would say that for us, that's probably a really big piece of, I mean, everything that we do is, you know, it's alchemizing it first, and then doing our best to translate it through music and through, you know, communication and gathering community. So I think communication is a big piece, because we're stewarding some communities right now where we can see the breakdown in union and relationship of all types. It's just communication and learning the art of communication, as you guys have shared so beautifully. When there's confusion and we have different interpretations of the same words, we really, really struggle to feel the vibration or the heart that's behind what it is that we're trying to share. And so I feel like that's probably a big piece for us.
I can see that. I mean, our voice is definitely a part of what we do. You know, I've been a mobile DJ MC for 3 decades. you know, doing voiceover work in film and television and voice, and Heather's been a singer-songwriter, and we do music, and so oracular transmissions with the sounds of heaven, the sounds of love coming through. And when I really tune into that, I feel like our unique signature is we are a bridge. We are bridges, and we build bridges from heaven to earth, from men to woman, to, you know, bringing the spirit realm into the practical realm. And how do we embody it into our realm, in our bodies, in you know, we're actively building, since COVID hit, we're building a dynamic community called the All for One Club. And it's really about bringing wellness. It's a movement of wellness. And how do we, you know, we come in with the powers of love and infuse this into business in a practical way to really bless people's lives. And so bringing that bridge, I think our unique signature flame is we're bridge builders.
Beautiful.
And isn't it beautiful that communication is the bridge of really resolving? Because I find the art of disharmony really comes from the lack of communication. And so I feel like signing up for that beautiful lesson of communication is very directive in that. So thank you for that. We're smiling because we relate and feel so much of what you're expressing.
We should tell Heather and just say, so on 9/9 right here, 5 hours, 5.5 hours. We sat here to talk through layer and layer. My eyes were rolling back. He was more dizzy. Like, I mean, the amount, we layer of layer. We, like,
nothing could be untouched.
There's not, I mean, it has to be that. Then going to ceremony to then transmute what was brought up. It ain't no joke here. We get down and dirty, you know?
I'm sure. Every nook, every cockroach must be extracted.
So I sat, and this was the first thing that came through me was, in your divine union, what is one of your greatest revelation you found within yourself that your partner has so elegantly shown you?
Each question, it's like mic drop.
I love the reveal that you both are like, oh, that's a good one.
I told you we didn't tell each other.
That's great. That's wonderful. I love it.
Oh my gosh, you can go first.
Oh, you know, and that's a great question. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, brother, for really that, because it is in these divine unions, these divine mirrors, that we grow into a better version of ourselves that we didn't really know we had access to. It just unlocks and challenges us in those right and perfect ways, triggers us in those right and perfect ways. And man, I can feel tears wanting to come.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I'm a 6'4" big guy with a big voice, and I can come off, I scare people, and I feel, and I'm an empath, and I can feel people's fear, and I've learned to walk gentle. And I'm a warrior. I'm a guardian. I work with Archangel Michael and Metatron. I work with the justice, and I got a sword sitting right, like, boom. I'm coming on to bring justice and liberty, and that's my gene key. I'm a teacher of liberation. I'm all about breaking the bonds. You know, I love Game of Thrones, the breaker of chains, you know, like, I'm coming in. And I've learned in this relationship, grace. That has been my, that I'm accessing more grace and more gentleness and more kindness and more compassion and just grace, what grace is. And grace, I've learned so much. You know, she is an embodiment of grace. Yeah. We call our home the Temple of Grace. We had a cat named Grace, and grace is a quality I didn't really know until this union. And it comes in surrender. It comes in total yielding. We don't experience grace intellectually. I've experienced grace in full, you know, and surrender is just one of these topics like, oh, I'm not going to surrender to you, you know, and it's like, you know, that.
It's the opposite, complete surrender to use, I discover.
Yeah. Yeah. And we as men, we're learning to surrender to that energy within us, around us, to help the Christas rise on the earth, to have their voice be heard and honored, and without not the neglect of the voice of the masculine to be swallowed up, but to be in harmony. So That's a good question, brother, and I feel like that's as best as I can really express that. I've learned grace.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And Heather, what would you say?
Oh, well, knowing that we're always mirroring, you know, we're two sides of every, you know, every conflict that arises, we're two sides of the same trigger. And in that, I've learned where I don't communicate what I really am feeling. He has such a commitment and has always had a commitment to really voicing his truth, raw, real, whatever it is. And it's been such a journey for me because I grew up in an environment as a pastor's kid, feeling like I had to show something out here and a much different world going on inside. And so it's been a real journey to learn how to feel okay. You know, and here's the thing. I'm fine speaking my voice out in the world, and I have no problem being authentic and vulnerable about certain things. But when it comes to the more painful, fearful emotions, sometimes that, I fear that. And he's helped me embody more courage to speak my truth of what I'm feeling. It's not necessarily about what I want to share with the world. It's more about what I'm really feeling.
Beautiful.
We fully recognize that space.
And I love what you said, Heather.
Yeah.
There's two sides of a trigger. I really,
Yeah.
really embrace those words because I feel them deeply. I just want to thank you for honoring that because it brings just great revelation of what we're all experiencing together.
I feel you wouldn't be in a sacred divine union if you weren't in a trigger zone. There has to be, you have to go through all the trigger zones, you know, like.
That's how we got matched up to go, oh, you have some triggers and you have some triggers.
I mean, like, just the trigger party. You gotta like have a
trigger party.
We can't come into them thinking divine union is divine perfection because there are going to be those wonderful divine triggers.
But I say that like these are places that, and I know you echo this, that no matter the triggers, we're committed to love. We're committed to just, you know what, we may get off the beam, and we do get off the beam, but, and, you know, as you know, gosh, here's Todd and Morgan. They're right here in the middle of this conversation. You know, I love how Todd goes. As one goes, so goes the collective. We understand that as we go, as we do this work, we're doing the deep, deep work. For many, I mean, even David Hawkins talks about when one person's operating in the frequencies of joy, you know, you're affecting 750,000 individuals, quantum, you know, in the quantum energy field. So,
and we spoke of that with Robin and Juan on last week as well. Very much about, we spent quite a bit on the triggers because that's exactly, we recognize it, we fully honor it as in a sacred divine union bond. We recognize the importance and the blessings of the triggers. So it's a different consciousness that recognizes it. So my question for you, this was something that I wanted to know because in your union, being a blended family, so this is something that has been a remarkable experience between us, me having children from a different marriage and the dynamic and how has your sacred divine union evolved in handling the former spouses and the dynamic with the children? Because I feel as a sacred divine union, when we have this on top of this, wow, I just have so much respect if we are capable of, like you said, Jason, but really applying grace in the most difficult moments where you actually want to throw bricks, but no, you gotta come with grace. So that was my personal question.
Good.
Yeah, right?
I love it.
Golden bricks.
That's a right. That's a rich question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and then ask.
Well, this is so beautiful because I mean it's definitely a conversation that we had from very, very early on, and the blending of you can speak to the blending of your half of our equation, and
I like the Brady Bunch.
yeah, when I came into this partnership, I was really jumping out of a whole paradigm of, I mean, I literally jumped out of my life. I had burned a lot of bridges. I came from this very public space. And when I really began awakening and then journeying together, I really cut ties with a lot of that community out of sheer necessity at that point, because I didn't know how to balance what I was experiencing in this and didn't even realize what, I mean, I knew we were called to something deeper than just a relationship, but I also had no idea that it was going to completely turn me inside out. So I for a time, my family wouldn't even speak to me because I had left that, faith and left the structure, and they really were fearful of who I had become and where I was. And so for a while there was no blending. And little by little, as we have stabilized and love has continued to multiply, and our love has allowed them to see the shift in me, in us, in our growth and our stability. One by one, we've had these amazing relationships be restored with my son, with my daughter, with my siblings. My former spouse, don't really have a whole lot of communication with him, but it's been an incredible journey for them to feel our love. I mean, that's where I can see what the work that we do has radiated out, because they can't figure us out, and they're curious and they can't argue with love. And we've just done our best to love them. And so that's been the blending on my side.
Yeah, and she's got an almost 30-year-old son and a 27-year-old daughter that's just had a baby. So
I'm a
she's
grandma.
a grandma.
Daisy Grove.
Daisy Grove.
Wow.
It's been a journey on that end. I'll speak to that end. It's been really challenging on my heart at times, because I felt like the devil's child, because she's left this whole paradigm, and her family doesn't. I don't feel it's taken time to go, okay, stay in your center. You want your other's family to see you and love you and go, oh, you're the best thing for my sister and my mom, and we're so grateful. And that's not what I felt.
Right.
And it's been challenging, in honesty, and to stand in my center and to continue to love and to continue to have that grace. And her son has been, Taylor is, I love him. He's another version of me, and I've included him in some men's circles works and really bringing him close to my heart. And our relationship has continued to grow, and it's a respectful honoring. He's an amazing man, a young man, and I love him. And we've had our come to Jesus moments, but but it's it's growing and it's getting better. And on my end, I've got an almost 14-year-old boy with that his mom and I split when he was 5. And literally, I'll just share this, like Jody, his mom, literally said on the phone, "I love you, Heather." Like, there's such love that they have. Like, they're two sisters, they get along. And I made it my intention a long time ago when I was going through a divorce, and it was a splitting, and I didn't understand conscious uncoupling. It was just like, I know that this woman is going to be in my life for a long time, and I'm going to do everything I can to really hold her in that place of love and respect and honor as the mother of my son. And she's an incredible mom, and I make her feel that I appreciate her. And so we call ourselves Team Jet. Heather, Jody, and I, and he's in counseling, and we get addressed as Team Jet. We're Team Jet, and we're really about him and his well-being. And we thought about moving recently to Northern California, but it's like we made a decision that's actually good for Jet and good for Jody. And it's like, we're here to really be, Jet's an amazing young man, an amazing soul.
Oh my God, he's one of our biggest teachers.
He really is. We call him Jedi Jet. And so bringing that love and honor and respect, and we meet together, and we really we bring that conscious communication and honoring, and also go, okay, we see things differently right now in the world, but that's okay. We accept each other's differences really beautifully. And that's what we're experiencing. So Jet adores Heather.
And Jet and Taylor are like, they're the brothers. Like, they love each other so much. And so they got brothers out of this.
Totally.
And, they adore each other.
Yeah. So thank you for that question.
Thank you for that question. I mean, that was really personal for me, because some of the other unions were becoming this, and not an easy road at all. And I feel part of the experience that Michael and I have had, particularly with my sons. My oldest son, when Michael and I first came into our union together, it was so cute. He's like, Mommy, I know you love me. I'm a dragon. So you find yourself a dragon. I know you like the Archangel Michael energy, so you get yourself a Michael energy. So he's like, I know the way you love me, because he reminds me a lot of me. My older son, very much. I was like, well, very much. I mean, there's this love, and I feel very blessed. The bond between Michael and my sons, and Michael with my former spouse, are like this.
He's a fellow
brothers. Like, it's the funniest thing. However, his partner has made it very difficult, wants nothing to do with us. So that's been to navigate through that. And the strength of our love really was needed, the stuff we have faced. So, but that I really appreciate your answer, because again, for some of the individuals, when we have this additional parts, it's a sacred, but it's such a necessary part, because again, this sacred flame is going to be holy heavens initiated through what is going to experience. So thank you for that.
And I just really, I'm thankful for that question, because for me, family means so much to me, and not just family that we are incarnated in, but there's this feeling of soul family, as you guys are to our lives and so many. So when you meet people for the first time, even meeting her spouse for the first time, I could feel this, like, I can recognize this individual, not that he's just a fellow Aquarius, but I could feel which is a great level for all the triggers that didn't heal through her past. It brings a lot within me and the connection with him, because I feel like there's an ultimate, like, neutrality of coming into it in the level of love that I want to bring in, so that I can bring the fullness of my unconditional love to all those that I feel so gifted to be a part of. And so to move into this and really just be open for everything, and just really not get too attached to some of the other areas that have pulled at us in situations and choices. But I always find when it comes back to our family and we can really navigate that, it is a beautiful gift that we can connect heart to heart. So.
And I feel that probably like you guys, I feel that what we've experienced with the blended family, with the particularly this former spouse and the children and all of that, that has been the highest level of our strength, is what the contribution of its strength, because it's been so painful, is brought the light of love between us even grander.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
When I see you guys, when I hear you guys, you are the powers of love. And it's just it's such a great, there's so much greatness to it. It's beyond words. So to put a word behind it is hard to even express, but just the gift of that power of love, of what each of you illuminates. So to keep it simple and just directly to the heart, when you look at each other into the eyes, whether it's in the morning or upon that beautiful sunset, and you really look deeply and you say, Heather, Jason, what is it? And I know there's a long list, so we'll just say whatever comes to the heart first, is that you truly love about each other. If there's something that it touches your heart and you're like, I feel, and I could write the longest list of the universe, and I can keep adding to them. But if there's something that just comes to your heart first of like what it is that you really love about one another, how would you express that in your fullest authenticity?
So good, you guys.
Thank you for being able to presence that. You brought us to God. We traveled the whole world really quick. Literally, like we went boom, 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 boom. We went to the top of Apulima in Peru, 14,000 foot elevation, looking at the moon and the sun and saying I do, and foot at the roots of a 300-year-old oak tree saying I do, I marry you. And when I exchanged my vows with this beautiful goddess, I told her, my intention is to love you in such a way that you keep singing. If she doesn't keep singing, there's something wrong. That means she's not radiating as the rose that she is, and her essence and her fluorescence. And not that I take that on the responsibility for, but I know that my love for her will allow her to sing the songs of liberation. And I just love the way, I'll speak this to you, I just love the way that you love people. I love the way that she loves people. She loves them deeply, with great wisdom, makes everybody feel really presenced. And she is a love bug. And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I love how big your heart is and what a shepherd heart that you have, and the way that you love people. And I really know that the way that we came together, I mean, you guys, one of the first times that we ever had, it wasn't even a date. I came to see him DJ for the first time in Napa. And one of the first things that we ever really presenced and did together was minister to someone together. And
his name was Michael.
And his name was Michael, of course.
Of course.
Of course. And I got to see, I mean, I saw it from afar, on videos. I saw this heart, but I got to share the experience of feeling how big and how quickly your heart responds to someone in need. And that's just who you are. It's how you show up in life. It's how you lead. And that is, I mean, over and over again, aside from all the play and the fun and the things that I always learn from you and how you communicate, that's what I always come back to. I know that you are led by love, and I love the way that you serve with love.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Surprises around the corner. It's fun. Got a little treasure chest here.
I gotta just tell you right now, this is seriously my favorite interview that we have.
Part of it, we have to have some fun, because I know through the spirituality of it all, there's a lot of like questions and mental activity. We're navigating through it all, and how can we just bring some delicious joy and love and just feel to it, so we can bring the emotion.
Yeah.
Really allow those that are seeing this and feeling it, so that they can absorb it too, because love is everything.
Yeah. So funny, somebody saw a picture of us and they go, "You're like the Barbie and Ken of the
of spirituality."
It's like we really want to break those literally we.
Oh my God, I was so
I mean, I know it was a compliment, but we're like, oh, how
the
can
Barbie.
How more three
erase that?
So I asked this question last time because I just felt also like right here, we are right here also physically focused, while we are multidimensionally focused, but just also like in the everyday life. So raw and real, are there maybe one or two things that every day in everyday life that like you have all this love and it's beautiful, but frankly, there's something that pisses you off, and you know what? Like it does. So like one of the things is like, okay, our sacred flame is very evolved, but again, like when Michael shaves, but he puts this beard whatever these things.
Your feathers?
This thing in the
It's not the hair. It's
no,
more the hair.
sweetie, it's this thing. I love his beard, but
Oh,
when he
the
shaves it,
shavings.
but it the
The beard back
stubble
there, but-
in this, like I
Oh,
love super. It freaking makes me crazy, you know. Like, so no, I have
Beard
not.
trimmings, the sacred
You're right.
beard trimmings.
I have not
Yeah.
evolved out of that, and neither do I know if I want to evolve out of that. So there are little things that still piss me off. Is there something that pisses you off? Just you know, but the little things like this, because I feel that's also
Or,
very
or
important.
if I use your comb and there's
Oh my
one,
goodness.
there's one long hair in her comb because she, you know, when
I don't
products
like her.
have nicer
Using
products
my
than us,
comb.
you know, like
Because we
my
both have
comb's
long hair, and
and
he
her
comes.
comb is a
I
nicer one.
bought him a comb. He
okay.
uses my comb, you know. So just
So-
curiosity.
Your
Heather
hairs
Anderson.
are left in that comb. Look
no,
out.
no.
I gotta clear them with a fine
I like very
floss.
clean.
Floss it out of the
No.
comb.
I don't do that.
You guys like to talk about this?
Oh my God, you
There's
guys.
one or two things very. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm trying to think.
I got
of,
one.
like- Okay, yeah, of course.
It's fun, and it's when we're driving.
Yeah.
And I, you know, for a long time, I was the one
Alright.
driving everywhere, and I'd be like, "Hey, I just want to be driven, like you drive." And for many years, when she moved down to Los Angeles, she wasn't really paying attention to exits and things, and I just want to
I know that
relax.
feeling.
I don't want to be the guide. I just want to relax and enjoy the ride, and not be the guy driving all the time and making the decisions. And
Yeah.
I just want to relax into it and be driven. And but there is that sense of like, so my little fun thing is like, she'll always just wait to the last minute to get over to the exit. I'm like, just think ahead, like 5, you know, cars ahead.
Yeah.
Just gotta veer over, because, you know, then you're like stopping and getting in the flow of traffic. And I'm like, I'm out of control and I can't control it. And so I find out that's where I get my little triggers sometimes.
Yeah, you totally do. Like when I go into Dory mode.
I call her my little Dory.
Dory. I go
She's
into
my
Dory.
little Dory. She's like,
That's
That's
perfect.
great. I'm like,
I'm like,
where am I?
pay attention.
Perfect.
I know that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my code. That's my code, because I'm focused. That's my
They
code.
didn't have highways in Mexico, no only traffic lights.
Right?
I'm the they call me the Heather Tether. Like
I'm like out here, like,
she's floating around. I'm like, come in.
Jason, that's me with him. Come here.
The first time I met her, she's talking. She's like, "Can you hold the map quest?" Like, "Oh, sure, I can." I'm talking to her. I'm like, "Wow, that's so awesome. Make a right here, honey. Are we supposed to make? Michael, are you supposed to make a right here?"
Michael,
Oh,
yeah,
we'll
what
make
else?
one after the bridge, through the toll. We could just do a U-turn. Go on, honey.
Michael Summer.
I'm still listening. Holding the
But-
GPS.
oh my God. You know what? Either if you and I, Michael, ever drive together, we'll
Oh,
either
dear
we'll
Lord.
either
Jason,
We'll be there. Wait
Trouble.
2 hours, honey.
either we'll
Trouble.
maybe we'll get way better, or we will never arrive.
It's that activation. You get so activated. What our direction? Well, the universe will guide us there. They will find the magical road for us.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And that happens sometimes too, where we see something that. Well, for me, I think it's probably, I mean, I was racking my brain as you were talking. I'm like, I can't think of like one specific thing that like,
Aww.
well, no. Aw.
Doesn't have anything.
No, I think it's like, it's probably in the car is the irritation one. And it's the flip side of that. Like, just feeling like, just let me drive. Just let me drive. We always get there. Just let me drive. And that, you know, that trying to guide me or direct me, and I have my GPS on. And I realize, I mean, I do miss exits sometimes.
I'm a shepherd, everybody. I'm like, hey, come on. No.
I do, man. It's
I
been,
would say tone. My tone would be
yeah,
something.
the tone. It's the tone of delivery.
Oh.
Sometimes it's like barky. It's barky and
I
it's
can be
bossy and it's controlling, and I'm like, zip it,
Direct.
zip it.
I get like in the car, no messing
Our
around.
Middle Eastern Persian voice. Wow.
Wow.
I'm like, he just stopped her. Then at the exit, like at the exit. You know, soft. I know it's coming, but I'm just, you know, I'm looking at the trees, listening to her.
Oh,
Like,
it's
1 mile
it's
before,
something.
behind the slow truck, we can move over
That
to the right.
place is
like,
fun. But you know, he does not like the one thing you no the one thing you really don't like is he always gets dizzy. He feels I brake too hard.
Oh my
Meanwhile,
gosh.
I'm all over the place, you know, like taking care of it like this.
I feel like there's an honesty. A pure mastery of driver is when you know how to brake so that when you're braking, it's such this softness where it's not this.
Right.
It's not so much like it, but my dad was a car race driver. My brother is, and I grew up like from 9-year-old driving. Like I am a complete man driver. That's when I'm behind the wheel.
Signs and
no,
lights.
like it's that part. But I drive also really fast and somehow
in short distances
and like fast. But I maneuver it like because I feel like I'm inside my spaceship. It makes no sense when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that driving thing that
my
comes
mom,
up.
she would brake so hard, and I have a sensitive belly, and I used to get car sick a lot, which I understand why. So the trigger of what she's helping me transform through my mother's lineage
It's your mother's
that ability of like when driving, just the softness of the brake.
Getting dizzy.
And part of it was when I first met her. You know, in Mexico they had cobblestone roads. They had one road into Puerto Vallarta.
I drive.
I didn't have
140.
stop signs, 4 lanes roads. She took me into West Hollywood a month, 10 years after Mexico. All these lanes and people and stimulus. I'm still learning how to get into that, like jump into the bubble of all of it because it dizzies me. We've evolved. I put on glasses now.
Next question.
Pressure points.
I'm tapping, even though I'm afraid right now.
Yeah, tapping.
Oh my God.
I love that Honey brought that up because there's something about a trigger that really I get excited about it. I think a little more excited than Honey because I always look at trigger as a gift because I'm always asking Honey, what's this for both of us? And before the kettle and the pot's rising, I'm not doing this. Is your
right.
I always find that elegance, and this is what I would appreciate of just learning even more from sacred divine unions, is that when there's a slight disagreement, or let's just call it maybe a light conflict, or let's just even bring it to maybe a difference of perspective, word, way, cultural seeing, how do you respond to your partner as in your navigation through it? For not only yourselves, but if those that are watching, because I find that there's a resiliency, there's a grace, there's a beautiful energy that's awaiting in that perfect moment that almost seems like it's like when you're at the tiredest, when you're hungry, when that perfect storm hits at that 1 second where you're both so vulnerable and it's like, ping!
Yeah. Now we're out of the bubble.
And my just curiosity is how you navigate that when there is a difference of perspective or conflict so that there's not the terminology that separates of what's more divine. Is this divine? Do divine unions do this? Or is this more masculine than feminine? Because we know that we're moving from that duality of terms, which has kept us attached to our own reality. So I feel there's this, as we learned, a lot from Vaughn, that dismantling. We know that there's this dismantling happening, and now how we navigate through that in our own unions beyond the talk, the terminology, and just the love we share for each other.
Yeah. Well,
so beautifully.
Everybody hang out. This is another hour long.
Right.
Here we got all this moment because this is it. This is the crux of the issue, and we do it skillfully sometimes, and we do it unskillfully at times, and that's just the truth. And that's where we learn. The Ho'oponopono prayer has been a lifesaver for us on the daily. At times where it's just look at each other and say, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." When we come to those places, it's that I have found. It's interesting word elegance. How do we bring elegance to it? I think for us, what's been really helpful at times is space. The space. Taking a moment, I learned this a lot from, I forget his name, Women from Mars, Men are from Venus. John Gray. Long time ago, where he talked about, sometimes men, we want to go in our cave for a moment, and for you women, just to let us go in the cave and just give us some time. We're going to contemplate. We're not going anywhere. Just give us a moment. We're not separating. We can never be separate. That's not the truth. I know there might be separation anxiety, but there might be just a moment to go, we just need a healthy pause. Just take a pause. And when we have that pause, then our pause can come out and we can pause each other. But we need that pause.
Oh God, he's getting medicine right now, big time. He's breathing in. Thank you,
brother.
brother.
You're helping me beyond what you can even imagine. Keep going. Give me the love, Jason.
Yeah.
The pause, that space. It's not weak.
Oh my God.
I'm having a moment, Jason, because you're speaking to the things that I'm just like.
Like a waterfall, like take a shower in that. Right? That supports us in the quickest ways.
When we remember to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. When we remember to do it, it's interesting because I think I'm talking about the masculine and the feminine. It's interesting, and I love that your presence, like, we're learning to collapse all of that, because the more that we talk about that, the more the BS that we have around it hangs out.
Yeah.
I actually made a post yesterday or the day before that got a lot of response from people, and it was about little girls. It was because I resonated with this personal experience. And I realized that Jason, brought to me that just the very nature that it was talking about the wounds of little girls and how little girls can't get their voices out of whatever, that it excludes the masculine. And my intention was not to do that. But sometimes, in our unconsciousness, when we're dealing with our own trigger in a situation, back to the communication, we really bring in, our division with our communication when we're holding on to our own pain. So sometimes we need that space so vitally to actually understand the trigger for ourself and take responsibility for the trigger for ourself, rather than trying to negotiate who's more responsible than the other person for what's happened here. And that's really, when the conflict starts to heat up, that's what we're doing, is that we're negotiating for who's going to take more of the responsibility of this equation, rather than just pulling all of it back into ourselves and going, if I'm triggered and I'm upset with what you're doing, this is about me and the piece that I have that is like that in me that I don't want to look at. And I think slowly that space allows us to really presence that more and more, where there's only one of us here, and we often forget that, and trying to negotiate it often just makes it worse.
We learned from a dear sister of ours about just alchemizing, but just a really practical way, everybody, when you're in that pause, let's say, take your hands and do this. And just sit there and cross the areas, because you're coming into you're alchemizing your energetics. And so just a really practical, even when you're in that middle of that conversation with them, come into that place and just sit there with that crossing of those energies. Sometimes has been very helpful it opens my portals to listen a little bit more. But I find it very interesting because we just came out of Gene Key 6 astrologically. And I did this post, and when you guys posted this interview, and I'm like, oh my God, this memory came up. And I want to read this part of Gene Key 6. We just left it yesterday. It says, human beings are unconsciously addicted to conflict. We long for peace individually and globally, but our collective low frequency ensures that we keep reinforcing the patterns of conflict. Nowhere is this seen more clearly than in our relationships. The conflict between male and female is part of the oldest wound there is. And it's hot-wired into our genetics. You are genetically subprogrammed to defend yourself from the opposite sex. And until your frequency rises above the emotional gravitational pull of the opposite sex, you can never really know peace. And that is, talking about the signature, going back to the signature flame, ending the war of the sexes is definitely a part of how do we bring peace and harmony to the relationship. So
You told me that androgyny. For a long time I was like, what does that really mean? What does that mean that we're going to be more androgynous? Or how does that feel? What does that really flesh out like in our relationships? And I think part of what the reality is, as everything's really coming into our bodies more, and we're really embodying more of this rather than being concepts. What I experience is I don't find myself as quick listening from like my position as a woman or that he's a man. I think we're learning to hear like where is the rub point, and it has nothing to do with any of that. It's like we're all experiencing in these feedback loops of the same kinds of things that we're trying to get healed from or bring healing from. And it doesn't really matter who's the one. It's like the driving thing for you guys is reversed as it is for us. It's like we all have these things.
Yep.
And being able to presence it from that space has really, I think it allows us to hold our peace longer and longer and longer and see the triggers quicker and quicker and not get sucked down into it as quick.
As alchemists, Ascension alchemists, I think you'll really appreciate this. One of the gateways that we in our coaching program, we talk about humility and harmony are our keys to alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just two keys to how we really become that divine golden being, that golden Christed love, when we come into humility and harmony, mutual humility, mutual harmony. Harmony is when it's not me singing my note and going, come on, sing my note, come up here. It's how do we really blend and yield and come into that, you know, you sing your beautiful note and I'll sing mine, and we'll kind of find that beautiful sweet space that we love as singers, you know, that's just sublime. When you come into harmony vocally, it's, you know, I'm sure you know, it's like the most magical place to be. And it requires humility to come into that harmony. And so I know that for us, that elegance piece is if we can keep that before us, you know, humble thyself in the sight of love. Humble thyself in the sight of love, in the presence of love. Let me humble thyself. Let me serve this and not serve my service to self and my need to be heard and my need to be right. How can I do that? And when we keep that in front of us, it's magic time, you know.
I hear St. Francis of Assisi's prayer. It's so simple, and it was probably from such formative years for all of us, but you know, let me be an instrument of peace. And part of that is, may I seek to understand rather than to be understood. And if we're both listening to try and understand the other rather than try and get our point across, that feels like, you know, that we're allies. Like we're doing our best. But if we're just really wanting to understand each other, how huge of a jump that.
But we all know this. Us four know this. We got this, right? Go ahead, Michael.
And one thing I just want to say thank you to, because I find that the gift of the trigger beyond forgiveness is the acceptance of one another and what's becoming forward, because I feel that the universe is giving us this gift that is being brought toward us. And I absolutely love forgiveness. And it's part of that element of how we shift in accepting of what's coming forward for the highest grace and the highest good of all, because it's come for both of us to see something very deeply. And I feel like there's that graceful elegance of how quickly not only can we accept from it, but to also feel the mastery of our heart moving through it in the navigation of it. Because when a trigger comes, I'm learning, how can I know at this moment, here's a major mastery that my soul has signed up to really feel the experience, because we are in this beautiful earth school, we're in this beautiful bubble that we're having this experience. So where am I mastery? Am I being placed forward to bring my acceptance to it? Because it has come here for a reason. There's no accidents to it. And now to move through it in the grace, which I will say I'm learning every day to be more compassionate, to be more loving, to step into my humbleness and humility, to be, you know, to stand up for where I may have slipped, or to be accountable fully for my actions.
Oh,
thank you.
That acceptance piece is so huge. And I think that's what's really going to help us get through things a little quicker in our snags, is going, okay, something's here. Something is being, you know, to be cliche, but there's this little boy, little girl in there going, I'm just not getting something I'm wanting, or I'm afraid I'm not going to get something, or and so presencing, because I know that we just recently in the last 6 months worked through some major trauma around prosperity. And I had to really face it. I've done all the affirmations. I read the John Randolph Price, the Wallace D. Wattles, Napoleon Hill. I've done the affirmations on work, and we do that work. But if you're putting all this layer upon some trauma that's in there, and you're not accepting that there's a traumatic piece that's wanting to be present and loved, and just go, okay, I hear you, I feel you, you know what, and let me just presence that piece and accept that you're afraid right now, and if I can do something to hold more grace, more compassion, more love, then I will do that. You know, Course in Miracles teaching everything is a call for love or an act of love, right? Everything that we're doing is either we're calling from greater love in each other, or we're acting in love. And so the only response I know here is love.
So, you know, I really appreciate, and I definitely feel like we have to have you guys back on again, because there are several other questions I'm like, I want to get to this question too, because there's a lot of beautiful expressions, because it is the wisdom that wants to be shared. And I feel that one of the things that within the dynamic, the bond of the sacred divine union, the harmony and the humility, Jason, as you said, is very, very vital, because it is a place in which we recognize also in each other the greatness the other one carries. So there's no competition, anything of that. We just full acceptance, like you know, like Michael's trained in the acupuncture massage. That's his area. Just you're using like a little example, like
caretaking, healing,
caretaking, all of that. So one of the things is there's a humility. Hey, just mad respect. You got this down. Okay. So, and then vice versa. Hey, listen, you got this down, mad respect. And that's a place that inspires the other one to then work on the other areas through humility. Hey, this area, nope, I don't have it down yet.
75%.
But it is through the power of that love and that humility that now I am willing to embrace this part to also evolve it, because there is a love-evolution. There is a revolution of the love in its evolving, becoming alchemized state. So the humility and the harmony also goes, and not, okay, I know this, I know that. No, it's the presence that has been bestowed upon one, that's been anchored, has been alchemized. There is that recognition in each other within the flame, just so much respect. So it's like, I don't need to understand anything. I heart stand it fully. And there's nowhere else to go with that. It just is. You know what I mean? And I feel that's something within a sacred divine union bond. We recognize that. So it's not like trying to teach anything to each other. When we recognize that in each other, it just is. And it is from that love that we then aspire to evolve, expand, rise the other part that also needs to rise up, for lack of a better words, you know.
It's very sacred.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Thank you. That was wisdom. That was an activation for those that were listening.
Yeah, really, because it is this dynamic, because this is why we are together, that's why we come together, because there's so much that goes. We are dissolving this template. I mean, the templates are all crashing. Timelines are crashing, because the oneness of the allness, the divine essence, is coming through this holy, sacred, outer consciousness vehicle, is being brought down through this literally like light stream that's crystallized. So within that, we're just allowing more of the oneness,
accepting and allowing,
and in that place to become harmonized. So it's so beautiful. There's a deep discipline that takes within this that I feel those that are called into a union, they need to recognize the level of discipline that it is required, because if that discipline within you is not there to stand in its practice every single day, you're not going to be able to deliver this planetary call through this union.
Yeah.
It's like we've started this. It's magical, it's mystical, it's incredible. We love to get into the sacred union with the portals and pyramids above us. I mean, that's another one we really wanted to get into. But there's also so much more that we are transmuting, transferring, transcending, because we agreed on a soul plane to deliver this together as one. And it is part of our individual line, our ancestry line, and also the 17-mile radius, just what's around us for animals and the plants and all consciousness. And then on a global level, like we showed this last week, the Sacred Divine Union, we are one of each of these that is the signatures being brought down to be anchored into the center of life. So it is a gift, and that's why we have this conversation. So we, along the laughter, along the seriousness, we really speak the truth of what this sacred divine union, we're bringing the divine in this union to do the work. We're not doing the work.
Yes.
The divine is doing the work for us. So, I mean, just mad respect, and we need to support each other along the way.
You said it's so crystal clear, and I could feel it, into the cells of my bones, because it's such purity that comes through. And I'm just grateful that we can share that with our beloved brothers and sisters, and all that are, watching this, so that they can feel the energy that is here, and to know that, as pretty and beautiful and glamorous and however we want to call this, there is sometimes just the low, the hard, the dirt, the raw. Like, I appreciate Jason, Heather, like, we're going through it. Like, there has to be that humility, that it's not just this, run through the flowers and we're just hands up and heaven's here. And it requires, discipline, dedication, devotion, dominion, reverence. It's something, and fun and joy and lightness, hardness, so that we can play as children of God. We can enjoy this, so that we're not here to create this old paradigm of war here. We can end the fight and bring in the connection versus the separation. Yeah. So it's beautiful to just share this in the real, raw, through our experiences, because this is what life's all fun about.
Perfect. So it's 2:12 here. Yeah. And we are so grateful to you. We're so thankful to you. When this video is finished, we'll also put again your link of the Powers of Love. Just 2 minutes. Do you have any upcoming events that you're both sharing and supporting others? Anything on that notion that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, thank you. Thank you for that invite. Right now, as far as events, we're pretty quiet, because we're building something really powerful. So we're really helping practical ways of prosperity, wellness, and community. Wonderful. And it's called the All for One Club. That's what we're passionately building, all for one. One for all for one. And we're really bringing it at a time of division and, economic scarcity and fear and mystery. And we're really bridging back to what we do. We bridge this, and we're really excited about that. That's what's got us passionate and excited.
Yeah, that's where.
And how can people find out about that? And so there's a link you can send me that I can put it on.
Yeah, we can send you a link too.
Give you the link, and we're also, part of that is an arm of what we're doing is called the Barefoot challenge, and we are committed to getting people with their feet on the earth, because a huge piece of mental wellness, as you guys know, is really connecting with the earth. And what's been amazing about this All for One Club experience is, you know, we've all been doing inner work and sacred community, and now it's time to kind of invite people that don't speak this language into the conversation of love, and feel like they can be held in community. And the quickest way we know to get people healthy, happy, and break through those, you know, financial barriers is to really connect to their true divine nature. So get the feet on the earth, and we're saying 90 days. Across the nation, you guys, the people that are coming together, people that have never taken their shoes off, and it's so exciting. They're having breakthroughs health-wise, and then we have, we're so passionate.
It's interesting because it's about inflammation. What causes disease is inflammation, right? And so we're helping people decrease the inflammation. We decrease the fire inside a little bit. You know, we want that healthy, friendly fire, that love fire, but that fire that doesn't serve your mental, emotional. So that's what we're really.
We'll provide those links. You send it to me. That would be wonderful. So grateful to that. Thank you. That's amazing. And we're really grateful for your time. Just
we love you guys.
Beautiful. I feel like we were right in Mount Shasta again together. It feels so timeless.
We'd love to go back. Let's do let's heart vision a retreat together to really come into Shasta and really bring some powerful medicine. It would be alchemical modes of transformation for individuals and couples.
It would be absolutely remarkable and amazing, and the divine will guide the way for us. And we're just so thankful.
Very grateful. You guys woke up early, shared your beautiful, sacred hearts with us, and it's just always a gift when we can be in each other's energetic field of just the magic that comes along, the activation, just the pure love that we can feel through the screen, through the energy. That it's a gift. This is medicine. That
and I take my picture with the four of us. Look. Perfect.
So thank you guys so much. It's a blast when we can have fun, enjoy.
I told you the questions are not scary, you know.
Medicine that we needed, to be honest.
Perfect. And we will be live then in 3 weeks on October 12th. We will have Columbus Day. That was a very beautiful guided day. That's the episode 3 with Kalina and William. So we're really looking forward to that as well. And I know, Michael, you're going to reach out to Jason for the voice of the sacred divine masculine. Along. So then you two can be together while Heather and I.
Time comes along in that beautiful nature. I'm so open and welcome. And just we bow to you, beautiful powers of love, and all that you're illuminating, all that you're shining, and all that you're speaking from your heart. It is a true blessing that we can be here with you now on this incredible eve of the equinox. Thank you, dear.
So much gratitude.
Everybody out there, just keep loving you.
That's right.
Loving yourself, keep loving those around. We're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so much gratitude for everybody that tuned in with whatever question you had, whatever comment you made. We are so grateful, as this is a portal of light. It is a portal of light that comes in and blasts out to support others. And we give so much love. We hold all the other ones that are coming into their union, or they have recently come into their union, in the highest divine love, so you can find the courage to navigate through all the initiations that you too have to face. And please know there are others that have gone before you, and you can reach out to us, because we have to support each other for this planetary shift. So thank you so much, everyone. So much love to everyone. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jason. Our hearts, our flame loves your flame, dances with your flame, you know? And until next time.
Bye-bye.
Love you.